Hi, my name is Jesko. I am a master's student at the Leibniz University of Hannover. I study English and politics, and I try to, and hopefully will, become a teacher after my studies. I haven't been part of any exchange yet, even though it is mandatory for a future Master of Education. But I guess I will be more of a rookie of education at the end of my studies anyway. There's no specific reason why I haven't been abroad yet. Some say it's because of the money, some say it's because of the organizational work. I guess it was more because I was just too busy, learning for university, for example. Working to earn enough money to live a comfortable life and to enjoy life as a student. So why go abroad except for the obligation? First of all, it's a matter of confidence. I mean, sometimes I feel very uncomfortable when speaking to native speakers, and let's face it, that's not that good. It is important for me as a future teacher to speak without a doubt and to get to know the cultures that I'm going to present to my students in the later classroom. So where to go? Well, I like the United Kingdom, Ireland, Scotland and the more rural areas of England itself. I am not interested in London, US, Australia or New Zealand. Actually, since I was 12 years old, I longed for a trip to Ireland because I love the landscape, I love the culture, and I think it's very interesting and a very beautiful country. I want to get to know the language as well as the people and their everyday life. And actually, I think it's important for me to get some distance between me and the university to get into the everyday life of normality. Usually, I enjoy my life at the university, but I think it's time for something different now. So that's why I do not plan to enroll myself in any university or any university program right now, but to look for an internship, or otherwise what would be more interesting for me is to work with teachers. So talking with some students, I get the idea or the impression and first ideas of what it means to be an assistant teacher abroad. So I look forward to this chance and I will apply to this program. I'm eager to get to know the English school system, the English students with their uniforms and the teachers abiding their own dress code. Maybe I get some answers to questions like, how do they see us Germans? I mean, it's interesting to know, to get the other view, to change the perspective and to learn of different cultures and how they see us in respect. I'm looking forward to dive into this culture, to meet the people around there even though I don't know them yet, and I'm looking forward to my first night at a real pub.
I am Sascha Ranke and I'm 25 years old and I study English and sports. Why do I study sports? Simply because I love it and I'm good at it. Why do I study English? A way more complex story. After I finished 10th grade, I was at a point where everything just seemed so average, really boring. So I decided to do something about it. I was 15 years old when I started planning my trip. Not really a good student, more average, which wasn't really good for getting a scholarship. Fortunately enough, my grandparents were really kind and paid my trip. Why the US? First of all, it was the cheapest, and that was a big point since I didn't pay it by myself. I actually liked Africa too, or the idea of going to Africa, but my dad didn't like that because he lived in Africa and he was afraid that it is too dangerous. That year had a huge influence on me. Not only physically, I was in the middle of puberty, but also on my perspective on the world. If it had been a spark before, it was a fire when I returned in 2005. My English grade simply jumped from a D to an A. After my year abroad, English became the second subject I was really good at, besides physical education. That was actually also the reason why I started studying English and sports in 2008 at the University of Hannover. Even though it had been 3 years since I returned from my year abroad, I could still hear the difference between me and people who hadn't been in an English-speaking country. So there is a difference to me between an exchange student and the TOEFL students. It is not only the language that has been affected, but also my cultural knowledge. In 2011, thanks to the English department of the University of Hanover, I was given the opportunity to go and study abroad in San Angelo, Texas. I was lucky enough to have the best host family and an amazing fellow student who has been with me in Texas and who have been a part of my year abroad and are still a part of my life today. Even though drinking beer always makes it easier to find friends, drinking beer legally, I should add. However, in retrospect, my stay abroad changed my perspective on the American culture again.
What I want to say is that my perspective of a 16-year-old who thinks everything Americans do is much cooler changed to a much more critical point of view. This is really helpful also in respect to our society and how I position myself in it.
My exchanges have changed me in a positive way. Negatives? Not really any I can think of, except maybe the delay of my studies, but I still have 3 degrees more than any other students at my age. And with all due respect to my fellow students who study this beautiful language and all the cultures that are associated with it, how can you stand in front of a class telling kids about America, Australia, or the United Kingdom without ever been there, without ever been part of the culture, without ever really hearing or smelling or feeling everything that has to do with the culture? I know that a lot of my fellow students argue that there's not enough time for an exchange or lack of money, and they certainly have a point. However, isn't life always a choice between the right way and the easy one? It is not only the language improvement, but these exchanges give you credibility and make you more authentic. And most of all, they shape you.